Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in and watching this video. I apologize in advance for reading my statement, but it's the most efficient way to deliver this message and thoroughly represent all my thoughts and accurately depict the unfortunate situation in our hands. I also apologize for the length of this statement, however, I feel like it is necessary to capture the scale of this crisis at hand. This video surrounds the topics of yet another shortcoming of Florida's Department of Economic Opportunity and our elected governor, Ron DeSantis. I'm sure you are by now aware of a lot of the issues currently being faced with the unemployment system, and other topics can be seen in my other videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to see the further developments. On Monday, April 20th, an interesting topic came to light. A large majority of those who applied for unemployment in the latter half of March, including myself, followed an interesting trend. Immediately following successful application, we got a notice which said something along the lines of, "Identity verification required. Please call this number immediately, as your claim cannot be processed until this is verified." As I'm sure you're familiar, the phone system is near impossible to navigate today, let alone a month ago, back before they had added the outsourced labor to this effort. Finally, after the frustrating week of trying and hundreds of phone calls from just the few of us that I was aware of, they updated the notice to, "We are unable to authenticate your identity at this time. However, there's no action required from you. Once your identity is verified, you will be notified through your Connect portal." This notice and claim status has remained stagnant on our profiles for the past 3 weeks or more with no update. We had assumed we were in the queue awaiting approval due to the no action statement. Following DEO's 3-week estimated timeline for processing, we were still on track. Late last week, the site went down for extensive long weekend in an effort to process claims and payments. While we were unable to access the site during this time for status updates, we were hopeful that we would come back on Monday to an update and hopefully good news for all. Unfortunately, this was not the case, and once again, no change at all was seen on those profiles with March filing dates. Through the efforts of my support Facebook group, which as of today has over 11,000 members, we began to find out that folks who had applied in April were beginning to receive eligibility and payments. It is through this page that I was able to notice the developing trend and that my claim and status was not an isolated case. Apparently, around the time of submission and as they worked to upgrade the system, a system glitch, according to DEO, caused a large number of claims from that time period to slip into a black hole, for lack of a better term. It is still unknown how this happened, how many claims were affected, or if they even know these statistics yet. I would venture a guess that the number is in the tens of thousands of affected claims. However, we don't even know if these numbers are currently accounted for in the statistics provided daily by the DEO, as they were unaware that this black hole situation was even a thing until it was brought to their attention this Monday. I've been made aware that a DEO representative stated this will take 2 to 3 weeks before it is fully squared away. This is unacceptable, as those affected have been without any benefit for 3 to 4 weeks, if not more, already. So what am I asking for? From the DEO, this needs to be made a priority now. There are folks that have been out of work for over a month and are on the brink of starving, falling delinquent on bills, not because they have improperly planned necessarily, but because a system glitch, your fault, has created an excessive delay in processing. 2 to 3 additional weeks at this point is simply inadequate and an unacceptable answer. Time and resources need to be focused to first identify the list of claims in the black hole, then get them processed with urgency and priority, as well as affected individuals receiving payment before anyone else in the existing queue receives a step forward in the process. Additionally, if standard procedure would put those who complete identity verification to the back of the queue, I urge you to make an exception and move those affected by this glitch, again your fault, to the front of the line, giving priority processing to those who have been out of work the longest. Similarly, retroactive benefits need to be paid in a lump sum for weeks owed, an exception from your normal process of back pay. For Florida lawmakers, if the 2 to 3 weeks for additional processing by the DEO is inevitable, those of us in this situation need to be first identified by the DEO and then deemed eligible for the federal CARES money, the $600 weekly, immediately. The CARES benefit then needs to be paid retroactively in a lump sum to the effective date of March 29th when it went into effect, or the unemployment date, whichever is later, of course. This may be enough to tie some folks over until the state benefits are able to be approved, and thankfully the CARES Act is the larger monetary benefit amount at this time due to the low weekly benefit rate in Florida. The governor's order to waive the waiting week is not applicable to those of us who became unemployed before March 29th, further hindering those of us who have been without work the longest. Pushing through these CARES Act funds may be a Band-Aid fix, but it would help so many while we continue to work towards the state eligibility and solving this black hole of claims. To Governor DeSantis, please address the elephant in the room in your daily briefings. You neglect to even mention the unemployment crisis besides recognizing your own efforts and claiming a successful approach. There is no success here. Your efforts, while appreciated, have not been enough. You have been offered options from other government officials which could potentially aid the crisis, services offered at no charge in an effort to help, and you do not respond. Even if you do not have the answers or a solution, at least mention and address the problem along with letting the public know that what action you are taking to find a solution. Not doing so is perpetuating confusion, panic, frustration, and anger, and your constituents, your voters, I remind you, are losing hope and faith. Lack of acknowledging this concern does not mean the public forgets about the issue, but rather that it is being avoided, pacified, and ignored. Please utilize your position of power to be a leader in this time. It's what the people need. I beg of you, make this a priority. There are many Floridians who, like myself, have been out of work for a month or longer, and some are even wondering where their next meal or set of essential groceries is going to come from. I am worried that this black hole situation is not being treated as an emergency or critical concern at all to the DEO or yourself as governor. I understand the department has a large situation in their hands, but this is one that will cause them and you critical repercussions in the future should it not be met with immediacy, acknowledgement, and prioritized action. To the public, if you feel helpless, lost, and without a voice for your concerns, you are not alone. Reach out to friends, family, or professionals for help, support, or whatever you may need. Also, continue to respectfully reach out to government officials as well as media sources to ensure that our voices are being heard in a situation where we feel voiceless. I continue to thank those in certain government roles as well as the media in fighting for this cause. Thank you for your action in pushing those responsible, asking the difficult questions, and demanding answers. You are our heroes. In a continued effort to make sure our voices are heard, I also urge you to vote. Take this time right now to register to vote if you haven't. Vote in the fall in the presidential election, and vote again in 2022 in the gubernatorial election for governor. Individual votes do matter and are important if we wish to see change in this nation and state. And please do not forget about the challenges we are experiencing during this pandemic and how elected officials are handling the situation, both good and bad, when casting your vote in the coming years. Thank you for your time and for listening. Stay tuned for future updates.